Crypto markets are green, green, green. Bitcoin is on the way up and everyone is exuberant. But is it too early to spike the football and do that end zone dance? Let's take a look at the chart in the news and try to figure it out. Let's go. What is up, everybody? I'm Scott Melker, also known as the Wolf of All Streets. First, I got to ask you to subscribe to the channel and go ahead and hit that like button. As I mentioned in the first intro, Bitcoin is up and everyone seems happy again. But is it time to celebrate, or could we see more downside? Let's take a look at the charts and the news and see if we can figure out what's going on with Bitcoin. First, we have the daily chart, and as you can see, we had the breakout of this massive bull flag that I've discussed over and over again with a target roughly of $63,600, $63,500. We never reached that point yet, and I do anticipate that we eventually will. Also on the daily chart, as I've pointed out before, we had this nice reversing candle right here, sort of a hammer, long wick down, small body, and then we had follow through with this candle that engulfed 1, 2, 3, and 4 of the previous bearish candles. That's very bullish. Yesterday we had a pause, and today we seemingly have further movement up. That would be very bullish, but it's too early to call it on the daily chart. Let's zoom into the 4-hour chart because I love this chart. Yesterday we had a move that brought Bitcoin up to about $51,000. Actually, that was about 2 days ago. That formed this beautiful descending channel. Perfect. Touches down, up, down, and up, alternating. On yesterday's drop, when people were panicking, I pointed out that we were forming a small little bull flag, which is consolidation under this key resistance. You expect that to break out and cause a breakout of that pattern, which ultimately we saw. All of this is extremely bullish. Bottoming signals should be coming to the end of the correction, whether it's ended already or not. Also, as I often mention, you can see these Fibonacci levels. We had the top at $58,354 and the bottom at $43,021. You expect on any move down to see a 50% retracement as an impulsive bounce. We had gotten to about $50,289, $400 short of that. So as I've said in many of these videos, I wanted to see a break above that 50%, and now I want to see us hold above it. Ultimately, then, you have to cross the golden retracement, the golden zone here, between 61.8% and 65%. That's where a lot of these moves die. You can also see that if we wanted to, we could easily draw a resistance that would be around this wick, and around that 61.8. So ultimately, we want to see price above that and heading up. Each of these fib levels could be resistance on another move to the upside. Almost every move in every market has trouble in the golden pocket around 61.8%, and Bitcoin loves that level. So we'll be watching very closely to see what happens when we approach the mid 52,000s. Also on the 4-hour chart, I've pointed this out quite a few times. This was the drop back in January, which ultimately was about 28.36%. I drew that down, and that would take us to 42,000, which did not happen. Why? Because these moves are often front run by the big players. The whales buy above the level that everyone's watching. Everyone's watching 42,000. Price goes where? 43,000. So ultimately we ended up with roughly a 26.5% retracement here. Plenty healthy. But worth noting, if you pull this wider, it took about 2 weeks to correct, and Bitcoin went all the way back up to 40,000 with the top at 42,000. So if that were to play out here, we would see something like price coming up here, coming down again, and then going back up. So from that perspective, although history does not repeat itself exactly, it does often rhyme, we could see, more time in this correction. But rationally, with more institutions buying, more of a floor, we should see these corrections get shorter and shorter and smaller and smaller. Now, I want to jump into a few news stories that I think are impactful, although there's not that much news happening in Bitcoin today after we summarized the big stories yesterday. First, Tim Draper predicts that Netflix will be the next corporate giant to buy Bitcoin. Tim Draper is a notorious billionaire Bitcoin bull who also invests Draper Associates in a number of crypto-related startups, but this is what he had to say. If I'm the CFO of one of those big organizations, I am saying we have to own X% in Bitcoin because it's a hedge against another currency becoming the currency of the future. And it's also a hedge against inflation as governments keep printing more of their funny money dollars. I love that, funny money dollars. The Draper Associates founder says that he thinks Netflix CEO Reed Hastings fits the profile of someone who might decide to put Bitcoin on his balance sheet. This is why. You know who it might be? Netflix. I think Reed Hastings is a very innovative guy and has a lot of creative thinking, and I think he still controls the reins at Netflix. So I think that might be the next big one to fall. And when asked why it wouldn't be a Google, a Facebook, an Apple, an Amazon, a lot of the companies that we like to predict could be next, he said Google could do something, but I think that all of them, Google and Facebook and Apple, are all trying to create a currency that's centralized, that's theirs. And Amazon, although Amazon will probably start accepting Bitcoin pretty soon. We already saw Facebook try with Libra, which was rebranded to Diem, but yes, it might be in the interest of these companies to create their own cryptocurrencies and skip Bitcoin altogether, but that to me does not make much sense because Bitcoin would still remain the only one that was an inflation hedge and a deflationary currency that they could buy as a treasury asset. Next story, Gary Gensler, the blockchain bull nominated to run the SEC, had a hearing yesterday that was bullish for Bitcoin. In his hearing, Gary Gensler asserted that cryptocurrencies, quote, have been a catalyst for change. He called for creating new legal instruments that protect investors without affecting innovation, arguing that cryptocurrencies have brought new thinking to payments and financial inclusion. If you don't know, Gary Gensler actually teaches blockchain at MIT. This guy gets it, he understands it, and he is a huge supporter. But there is a flip side. He said the SEC must ensure that crypto markets are free of fraud and manipulation, and I think that's the greater challenge, frankly, because some markets, usually operating overseas, have been rife with fraud. He's also notoriously said that both Ethereum and Ripple should be securities. Now, he's been proven wrong on Ethereum. They've already said that that's not a security, but he has a very strong opinion that XRP is a security, and if he has anything to do with it, that will probably be deemed as such, which could have implications on quite a few other projects down the road. So we'll wait and see, but in my eyes, having someone who understands blockchain is in bullish on it as the head of the SEC is an extreme positive. On the flip side, we have a slightly negative story, but I don't think it's a big deal. A major miner in Inner Mongolia is shutting down its mining operations. Now, I am not a huge authority on mining, but my friend Whit Gibbs, who is from Hashrate, he is. So I contacted him and asked him if this was a big deal. He said this is really big news. That 10% of Bitcoin's hash rate is located in Inner Mongolia, but that these miners will just move and put their machines back online somewhere else. He noted that the rest of the world's miners will see a nice bump in profit. So he doesn't think that this will affect Bitcoin very much, that it's being shut down. But what is notable is why. China's cracking down on energy consumption with environmental concerns in mind. We all know that mining Bitcoin takes up a lot of energy, so news like this may cause miners to search for more environmentally friendly solutions, let's hope. But if China is cracking down on high energy consumption, they've already said that they're shutting down Inner Mongolia's miners and also not going to allow any new miners there. So this is pretty big news and definitely bears watching. Now, guys, I think Bitcoin is on its way up. Whether it corrects a bit more or not is of no concern to me. I truly believe we're going to see 6- and 7-figure Bitcoin down the road. And once again, I'm Scott Melker, also known as the Wolf of Wall Streets. Please subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, join my newsletter, and check out my sponsor, Femex. You can do all of those things in the description down below. And I will see you guys later this afternoon for a live stream. Peace.